excited to have Chuck Pettis join us on today's Big Blend Radio Tourism Excellence Show. Chuck is the author of Techno Brands. He's the president of Brand Solutions Incorporated, and he's also based out of Whidbey Island, Washington. So we're a little jealous. Like, we want to get out there. We can't be jealous, right, Nancy? That's not a good thing.
Well, we can just know that we're going to get there one day.
I know, because he's also the founder of Earth Sanctuary. It's a nature reserve, a sculpture park, and retreat center. Very happy to have Chuck join us on today's show to talk about branding in the tourism industry and speaking about neuromarketing and the ethical use of archetypal branding.
Wow.
I know, and reptilian and limbic hot buttons.
Okay.
How about that? I could actually say all that, I think. But I encourage you to go to Chuck's website. It's brand-solutions.com. And to also learn more about Earth Sanctuary, go to earthsanctuary.org. Welcome, Chuck. How are you?
I'm doing great, Lisa, and also Nancy. Great to be with you today.
Yeah, you're in the beautiful area of Whidbey Island, so that needs to be on our list from what we've, talked about with a lot of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writer Association members over the last couple years. And you're out there too, and you're a member of the association as well. But yeah, it seems like this is a beautiful destination. So is your office, do you see the water? Like, tell us, what is it like living in
Well, my
there?
office is on a 90-acre farm overlooking Puget Sound, so I can look out the window and see the Olympic Mountains and all the ships coming in and out of Puget Sound, and so I'm blessed to live in a very beautiful place. Whidbey Island, I think, is the best-kept secret on the West Coast, and lots of people are starting to discover it.
Oh,
cool.
Man, that's awesome. And at the same time, your sanctuary is there. Earth Sanctuary is also at Whidbey Island?
It is. It's on South Whidbey Island. It has 3 ponds, 2 miles of nature trails, and many birds and wildlife, and a sculpture garden of sacred spaces and artworks.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay,
I like that.
So when we come out your way, we could put that on our list of parks that we visited, right? That would be
absolutely. I love giving tours to people. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Come on up.
We want it on our website, loveyourparkstour.com. See how I did that? Just sneak that in there. Boom. Well, this is interesting because I know that with your sanctuary that there's it's very goes into the world of Buddhism, right? And that spiritual practice of meditating and calm, restorative work. And then you look at the world of branding, and when you think about an ad agency, I know that you've been part of that world as well throughout your life. Having an ad agency, a marketing agency, and getting into branding, that could be like this crazy, hectic, flashy, all kinds of colors. And so it seems to me that you've got this interesting balance between what we do in the marketing world versus we need to go get some calm. Is that what led you to the sanctuary? I just was it that part of it?
Well, I've got a bachelor's degree in psychology from Carnegie Mellon, a master's in design from Buckminster Fuller's Design School. And what I studied in college was the effect of space on consciousness and also on mass communications and how that's linked into how people make purchasing decisions and buying decisions. So it's been my lifelong passion, and they come together beautifully because to brand something, you need to really understand who the target audience is and what turns them on.
So you got to know.
Absolutely.
So you tap in, so you have to be able to read. And so is your focus clearer through, meditation and also understanding psychology, your focus?
Yes. Well, the reason psychology is important is how we all perceive the world. So we perceive the world through our senses. The first place a sense signal like sight or hearing goes is the amygdala, which is a limbic center in the center of the brain. It's the emotional center. And what happens is that people first make decisions emotionally, most of them unconsciously. Then the sense signal goes to the prefrontal cortex, which is our quote-unquote rational brain. So what we need to do in branding is find the colors, the feelings, the emotions that will get people's interest, and then we need to show them the features and benefits that give them the feeling they've just made a smart decision.
So it's got to be a feeling. You got to give a feeling first, that emotion.
It's all about emotion and feeling, and you do that through the careful selection of imagery, photos, color, look and feel, archetype, etc.
I think the wording is always the aftermath of saying this is a good decision that you're making. The photos, the imagery is what comes first that makes you stop and look, and then the words back it up, so to speak.
That's it exactly. Well stated.
Thank you.
Well, and she does teach us, you know. She says, you know what it's like to work for a parent. So,
I like
no,
it.
This is, you've got to have this balance. And what's interesting, okay, so is that part of what neuromarketing is understanding the feeling coming through, or is that what it's about?
Yeah, so we basically all have three brains. We have the reptilian brain, the limbic
I
brain.
don't.
Oh, yes, you do. And then the rational brain. And the reptilian brain is the oldest brain, and it has to do with what are we afraid of. It's about survival. It's about reproduction. It's about mating season with the birds on the pond.
Mm-hmm.
The limbic brain is the mammal brain. So when reptiles have babies, no mother or parent required. When mammals have babies, mother and parent are definitely required. And the cortex brain is our quote-unquote rational brain. But when making decisions, the reptilian brain and the limbic brain are the most powerful. And so a reptilian brain is when you're thinking about selling something, you need to find out what are they worried about. So they might be thinking of, are they going to have fast Wi-Fi? Are they going to have good food? And the limbic brain is going to go, I feel good. I'm comfortable here. I like the people who come here. I feel like I'm a part of a community when I come to this place. And the rational brain is, I feel good about it, and it's a smart decision, and I'm confident that I'm doing the right thing.
So this is really about taking a risk. So that's why you have to go reptilian, because everything in nature is a risk.
Yeah, you have to do reptilian to get people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hit on something that they're afraid of or where their pain is, if you watch TV commercials at the evening news, you're going to see ads about, pain and diabetes and all the problems people are having. And then what they'll do is, once they've gotten your attention, then they'll switch to images of people doing the activities they can't do when they're having that pain or that medical problem. And while they're then giving all the symptoms, they're going to show beautiful images with kids and dogs and play nice music, so you don't even notice the side effects.
It's funny because it's like, and it's in small print, and they talk really fast.
And then, well, at the same time, it's when I think about like medical, right? I always tell dentists and doctors, can you just stop wearing the white coat? And they even have the white coat syndrome. And then I've noticed lately, like nurses have like flowers and bunnies and things on their outfits or their uniforms, so it doesn't even feel like a uniform. That's why I even said outfit. So is that kind of that same thing? Because when it's that big staunch uniform and you're scared of whatever's going on medically, can they just get rid of the white coat and bring us cookies or something?
Well,
nice?
That's what gives them the authority. It gives them the archetype of the ruler, the expert. I'm the best. I have the answers. I will take care of you.
And also, and also, the white is kind of like cleanliness.
Yeah, cleanliness and
purity.
Yeah, and I think okay. So the ones with the bunnies for kids, right? That's for the kids.
Yeah, probably from the children's
the
ward.
nurses and things. This is it's interesting, But what about the important? In our industry, I've always been in the side of the sales and marketing. And, there's an interesting thing of people going, okay, a salesperson, and I've done sales in retail, from musical organs to cars to all kinds of things, in restaurants where you're like, hey, don't you want to have dessert? But the word salesperson, it's like, oh, you're the snake oil salesman. Is it that people are scared that that psychology? And it's about having that integrity of what you do when you're branding and marketing, that you can overcome that, because I feel like that's always there. People have that fear of salespeople.
Yeah, the real problem is that only 1% of companies actually know why people buy their products or choose their destination. And so it's really important in branding to actually do market research with your target customers and give them the list of the amenities and the features that you think are important and get them to rate those and give you the feedback so you can know for sure what are the top 2 reasons that are going to get people to choose your brand over another. And then once you know those rational features and benefits, you want to ladder those up to find out how those features and benefits make them feel. And then you find emotional imagery that evokes those emotions. So when they see the website, for example, I was looking at the Ritz-Carlton website. And if you go look at the Ritz-Carlton website, you're going to see these amazing, beautiful photos of luxury and art. And it tells you it shows you what the Ritz is all about. And so you get that turn on, and then you go, right, that's what I want, that's where I want to be, that's me. So you identify with that brand. So whether it's the Ritz or Hilton, they're all trying to do the same thing, but it's really the research to actually know that makes the big difference in branding and enabling companies to actually sell effectively and efficiently and build loyal customers.
And how important is it for a company to actually know their brand? Like it shouldn't, you can portray it on a website and then you get there and it's not like that, right? So that's a huge issue with the industry. I know even with what we do as travel writers, when we take photographs of a place, we don't over-doctor them to the point that that's not what it's like, because readers will come back on us and go like, hello, you made it look like this, and that's not what it's like. There's that integrity part, and I keep using that word because when it comes to branding, I think it's important that you are telling the honest truth, because if your website's luxurious and you get there and it's not, that could really fly against you.
Well, this is why so many Americans don't trust advertising, is because these companies don't know what their brand really is, and they then don't link the brand to the operations and the actual product, or in this case, a hotel or a motel or a destination. So this is why doing the research is so important, so that you actually know that you're on target or not, and so you build a trust relationship with your clients, your guests, your customers.
I think that's, part and parcel of the idea of we appeal to everybody. And that is kind of where a lot of marketing people start. We appeal to everybody. I know when we named our magazine The Blend, and we have different categories within The Blend, that we got a lot of flack for it, and we were told it would never work. Well, it did work because we knew how to categorize our readers. Yeah, we always have recipes because we know they want that. We always have travel because we know they want that. But it was, when we first started out, really kind of difficult to be the blend.
Yeah, you had to be a blend with its quality of life.
And we had to find the right word. Like, we like the mix. That didn't work. The blend. It had to be something, because there's part and part. Like somebody who wants to go out in the wilderness and discover nature still wants a good meal at night.
What's also important is consistency. So if you're going to have recipes, it's important that the recipe always be there, always be in the same place.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's no surprise, so that they look forward to that. They want it. Yes. The anticipation's a very powerful emotion.
I'm so glad you said that about consistency. Because we travel full time. We on our Love Your Parks tour, and we go in and we'll get to know resorts and restaurants and different entities, and they'll start something, and we say, well, look, your newsletter. I mean, we keep falling into this thing with destinations. If you're going to do a newsletter, it's important to be consistent. If you're going to do social media, you need to be consistent. And it really doesn't matter how many people you have following you, because it's the same thing as store hours. Isn't that important too in your branding? That when you say you're going to be open, you're open. It gets right down to that nitty gritty, right? That you do.
It's all about trust. You just got to deliver on what you promise, and when you don't deliver, you lose trust. So trust is one of the most important words in the world, and we need a lot more trust marketing and a lot of more trust brands out there.
For sure.
And right now, in regards to social media, where there's TripAdvisor reviews, Yelp, and all these things, um, how important is it keeping your brand also part of the communication system in regards to if people like, hello, you didn't do this, and you said this, you need to kind of communicate, right?
You have to address it.
You can't just ignore it.
Yeah, things like TripAdvisor are really important, and Earth Sanctuary has a TripAdvisor account, and it's one of the key ways that people learn about Earth Sanctuary. And it's also important to get really good reviews, and even if someone has a comment about it, as a owner of Earth Sanctuary, I need to respond politely and appropriately, so the person knows they've been heard, and that we're listening. So it's a relationship, really. Brand is a relationship. In many ways, it's a romantic relationship. We're building a trust, romantic relationship, and the more romantic we get it, the better.
And then you stay consistent. Just like, you're dating a guy, and then you think, oh, this is really good, and then he's like, he didn't call you. Then you're like, okay, wait, here we go. You know what I mean? That on the romance side, and then he doesn't call again, and then you start getting second thoughts, right? So that trust and relationship. I love what you're saying on this, because I think I really believe that too. What are some of the things that you're seeing people do right? And you were talking about the Ritz-Carlton. Here's these beautiful photos. What are you seeing people do right in the tourism world of today in regards to branding?
Well, to me, one of the key tools of building a brand is brand identity. And brand identity is about being consistent not only in your visual, in your experience, but in the emotional relationship as well. So what people are doing in the tourism industry for the lodging industry is they're looking at amenities. And they're looking at, are they doing points? Are they doing the design? Are they doing what kind of breakfast? Is it going to be a hot breakfast or continental breakfast? And are they staying in touch with you? Are they thanking you for your business? So a lot of the brand name hospitality brands are doing all of this, and quite well and consistently.
And then also in regards to branding, some of the benefits of this, I wanted to touch on this because there's marketing, there's branding, and sometimes like a small shopkeeper in a downtown Main Street may not think they need to brand. They think that's for a huge corporation. But wouldn't you still want to have this is my logo, this is my identity? Do you have to be a big company to brand?
No. It's actually, I think, everyone should have a brand, whether they're a person, a small business, or a large corporation. Branding, though, is more than the logo. Branding is really about the experience that people have, whether if you've got a business that's in the shop, are they welcomed? Do people come to know your name? Do you feel as a valued customer and guest? Those kind of emotional experiences are really the most important. Secondary are, is the coffee hot in the morning, or, when do they open, and things like that. So what small businesses should do is actually think about, well, what is it about my store that's important, and then do a little research study to find out why are people really coming there, and for their loyal customers, what is it the loyal customers really value, and then you make sure you really deliver on that to keep them loyal, and then to keep new people coming in and having that same wonderful experience and move up the ladder to become a loyal customer.
Is that the same also, with you being a member of what we say IFTWA, the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association? I know a number of them are listening, in the writers, the bloggers, the photographers, authors like you are. And you've written a couple of books too, right? Is it two or is there more? I was like, okay, he's got other books in here too. You've got Techno Brands, and then you've also written one more, The Secrets of Sacred Space.
Yes.
But when you're an author or a writer, you have to brand yourself too now, and I think it's the only way you set yourself out, in the world of Instagram and all of that. It's like you better be strong at what you do.
Absolutely. And also thinking of Instagram and, for that matter, Facebook, that it's really the use of imagery is the key. And it's the pictures and the imagery and then the stories you build around them that are so important. You know, when I started off in the advertising branding business, it was you had trade magazines and you did commercials and you work with ad agencies, and now it's a world of social media and Instagram and Facebook advertising where you can actually find your target audience, what are they interested in, and then your ad's going to go out to that target audience and people with those interests. So things have really changed over the last generation or two, and so it actually makes advertising, publicizing, branding actually easier than it ever was in the past.
And at the same time, though, you have to realize it's changing, right? Because if you have a strong brand and say Facebook has a breakup or whatever's going through, and then today, like, you know, oh, now Twitter's a hot button, you're really just, it's just moving platforms. It's not necessary, and you still have to, you know, build that up. But if you have a strong brand, you can handle those kind of changes in the social media platforms because they are changing.
Absolutely.
And they will continue.
And it's changing all the time. You know, I ignored Facebook for many reasons, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, it was like, you better be on Facebook, you better do it. And our readers were actually emailing us from our newsletter saying, you know, what would you like to see different? We would always do giveaways and all this, and what do you want to see? And that's what we kept getting. Would you please get on Facebook? We're like, oh, really? Okay. And we did, because we were doing everything on Twitter, because that was like the big thing at the time, and it's still our biggest thing as a news source. But I find that interesting, like how it does change. And so long as you are who you are, and you navigate the new changes and learn those platforms, you have to be who you are. And the one thing, though, you know, building that trust, that relationship that we've talked about, and knowing who you are and doing it in, you know, when someone actually comes to your business or your hotel or restaurant, what happens when you have to go through a big change in a brand? Like, what happens if you have to change ownership or management and name or something like that? Do you take what was in the past and try to recreate it depending on the place, or do you start from scratch? Because that's kind of a scary thing for some, you know, when people buy a business and have to start over.
Well, I've been involved in a number of acquisitions, and one of the key things is to be aware of what is the level of brand awareness of the brand and the brand esteem, positive, negative perception. So if your brand name has a lot of brand awareness, the new owner should probably keep that brand name and not change it, because that name has equity, it has value, it has brand associations with whatever amenities that brand has been associated with. So starting a new brand is actually quite difficult, time-consuming, and a lot of work. So if you've built a strong brand, don't mess with it.
Yeah, and if you're taking over something that has a bad name, then you have to change it.
Yeah, then you have to, like,
because then you're like starting in the hole and digging your way out to get to the good place.
Yeah.
So
agreed. Yep.
Yeah, you need to start fresh and new, and you know, just and I think sometimes when stuff happens like that, where you take over a company that has earned itself a bad reputation, there are people who remember when it was good, and out of curiosity, they'll come look, and that's your chance to get them back. And if you don't grab it, you're in trouble.
Well, then what a number of companies do is if they take over a brand that they purchased at a discounted price because it had lost value, then they replace the name with their brand name and give a category descriptor or a generic descriptor to whatever that company does. So they've gotten rid of the brand and any negative associations. They've replaced it with the value and the positive esteem of their own brand name, and then they just give a descriptive name to the company that they have just acquired.
Yeah, interesting. You know, one thing, too, I noticed that you do a lot of work with nonprofits, and I think that's an interesting part of it because, you know, the public, they don't think nonprofits should be in marketing and branding, and I'm like, hello, how do you know what Greenpeace is doing, or you know what I mean? Everybody, it's like it's part of the most important part, and So you do a lot of that part, and it is really important for that trust factor, right? And having
It
that
is.
brand with a nonprofit.
It's very important. I've worked with a lot of nonprofit environmental organizations to help preserve and protect the environment for future generations. And, they want to protect their water. They want to protect their wildlife. And in order to do that, they need to understand who their target audience is and what they should focus on and what language they should use, what imagery they should use. And it helps them become more effective. It helps them engage and build bridges rather than burn bridges. And it helps to raise the perceived value of their organization so they can get involved in the right causes and the right areas to be of help to the environment.
It's true. We work with a lot of nonprofits too, coming on our shows and on the environment because of what we do with parks, and some of the really higher end ones are like, okay, we're not going to get political on this. We're not going to, you know what I mean? It's almost like you have to audition to give them a platform sometimes to get them to have their word out, and we're helping out, and it's like hello, but it's important because this is who they are, and they're not going to, default from that. And some of the best people we've met in the world come from that group of nonprofits of, really defending the land and doing something 100%, and they're like all in. So you have to, we were talking about that at the beginning of the conversation about really knowing who you are. And those nonprofits to really stand up and do the lobbying and the fighting, standing up for different causes, and if it's oil in the river or whatever it is, you can't be wishy-washy. You won't make it.
It's important that everyone in the organization have the same language when they're talking about their causes or their areas of focus. Most organizations, everybody's coming up with different explanations, different language. In branding, what we do is we create brand identity maps, and so that everyone knows what to say, what the key messages are, and then you repeat them over and over again verbatim, whether you're doing it verbally, on your website, in your social media, at a community gathering. You want to repeat your key messages over and over again verbatim so that people remember them and can then repeat them to their friends and acquaintances.
Oh, wow.
Well, I think that's because I think just on a natural basis, when you hear or see something, we're all individual, and your brain interprets it the way your brain wants to interpret it. And sometimes it's a little bit different than the message an organization wants to send, especially just with certain words can invoke something in one person's brain, and it depending on their personal experience, like the word fire, that can invoke something horrible to a person who's been through a fire, but it can also invoke something nice to a person who's at a campfire and likes to build a campfire. And
you have to bring the
night.
marshmallows.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So everybody has a different take on phrases and words due to their own personal experience. And that's what makes marketing and trying to get everybody on the same page with the same message so much fun, if I could put it that way.
It's powerful. Yeah, Chuck, isn't it? I mean, if you don't have that clarity, like what Nancy's saying, then everybody goes, oh, it's going to be, we get our business from word of mouth. And if everybody isn't saying that same language, then your word of mouth could really turn on you.
A big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's finding the right phrases, finding the right ways to describe what your brand offers is very important. You need to have it down to a critical few, and then you just need to repeat them verbatim. This is not like language arts and doing essays where you save all the good stuff to the end. And branding, you say the good stuff right up front, and then you repeat it over and over again without rewording it. This is a very different than creative writing, because everyone thinks, oh, we can't repeat the same phrases. And branding, when you repeat it, it makes it easy for people to remember.
I like this because it. I know that.
Well, it's like people can say 7 years ago, our country brought upon, and then we ran out of the words already.
Uh-oh.
But we all start with 7 years ago.
And so we all know.
He branded it. Abraham Lincoln branded it with 7 years ago. But after that, oopsie.
Yeah, but like boom, there's a stamp. Do you think, Chuck, with this, when you talk about branding, that is like a pillar stone of a business? Like when it comes down to it, when someone does a website, all of a sudden they start to see all the different, like, ooh, I didn't, my menus got this pricing over here, but it's different over here on social media. You start to see all these different things. Mm-hmm. Do you see branding as a way to actually build your company structure?
Yes. See, every company has an image, and that image is many people have an image because they haven't consciously created an identity, i.e., the key repeated phrases, the emotional images, the most repeated message, the amenities, the features they offer. When you actually think consciously about what your brand identity is, and then you present it consistently through all the senses as much as possible, then you actually have a brand. Otherwise, you just have a mishmash that is and an identity that's pasted upon you by your customers and maybe your competitors. So brand identity is about taking control over the identity of your business, of your organization, and presenting it clearly and consistently in all media over and over.
Wow. Now let's go to Earth Sanctuary. You rock. I just want to say that. But you know about rocks too. Tell us about Ellis Hollow Stone Circle that you built in 1977.
Well, I got very interested, as I mentioned, when I went to college, in the effect of space on consciousness. And I visited England back in the early 70s. I went to a place called the Rollright Stone Circle near Oxford. When I walked into that stone circle, my consciousness altered. I'm a meditator. I went into the center of that stone circle. I meditated. I went deeper, faster, clearer, and I decided I need to figure out, here's a place that's been carefully designed, that's evoking a psychological experience that's uplifting. I decided I'm going to figure out how they did this. So in Ithaca, New York, I was part of an organization called the Foundation of Light, which was a group of kind of senior spiritual people, and so they taught me how to dowse, and we formed a group, and we created the first energetically aligned stone circle in modern history. It's a very beautiful sacred space. It's oriented to the summer solstice sunrise. It's still there. It's in Ithaca, New York. It's called the Ellis Hollow Stone Circle on the Foundation of Light property. It's in the corner of Ellis Hollow Road and Turkey Hill Road, and I encourage people to go visit. It's a very special sacred place.
Wow. And was that like a spur for you to do what you've done with the Earth Sanctuary on Whidbey Island?
Yes. Well, that showed me that these techniques of building a sacred space that has power really worked. And so when I got to Seattle and got onto Whidbey Island, I wanted to build more and create more sacred spaces. So Earth Sanctuary is my sculpture garden.
So what makes you feel that it works? What is the thing you think? What makes it work?
Well, it's a place that when people come in about 5 minutes, they feel peaceful and calm. It moves people. People have special, extraordinary experiences there. I had a woman once in the Cottonwood Stone Circle who told me that this stone circle was one of only 2 places in the world she felt safe. I met a father and his kids, and he was a divorced dad. The kids told me they just had the most meaningful, best conversation they'd ever had with their father in that stone circle. I've had people who have come to Earth Sanctuary for healing. For when they're feeling down, they come to Earth Sanctuary to get uplifted. And we have many people come and do retreats at the retreat center. That's a very special, blessed, sacred house for people to do spiritual work. And so it's a place that evokes spiritual, special, sacred experiences. It's also a place I don't know anybody who's praying or meditating too much, and I'm not particular what religion or spiritual path they have. They all go to the same place. I want to encourage people to do more introspection, more prayer, more meditation, and to be more mindful of who they are and how they act.
I love that, and I wonder, we lived in South Africa and Kenya for many years, and then also in England, and in some of the ancient English thatched homes, it's round. They're round, and in Africa the huts are round, and they will always say, depending on the tribe, it was like if it's round, it's so that the devil can't live in the corners.
Evil spirits.
The devil,
there's
evil
no
spirits.
Corners.
There's no corners for them,
Yes.
and everything's very round. And there's something very natural about round. Nature does that. I mean, we walk every morning, and it's like if we don't do it, then we're crabby and we're not the same human beings.
But
There's something about that calmness of nature, and there is something nature knows about round. And I wonder if that plays a role in what you do in design and what you're doing at the sanctuary for people to feel calm because of the roundness.
Well, the circle is certainly one of the most important symbols. It's a symbol of wholeness. It's a clear distinction. A circle creates a sacred space because it's a clear inside and outside. It creates a holy, consecrated, blessed space. And it holds energy, and it holds the emotions of people who come there and who've had special spiritual or emotional experiences, because those feelings stay there, maybe as a gift for the next people who come there, who maybe need that extra feeling or extra experience that they might not have gotten otherwise.
Did you learn this from Buckminster Fuller too? I mean, when you were going through his learning, I have to ask this because Bobby DePorter, our next guest, I know Ralph is there too. Ralph Massengill, they're both going to join us in a second here, but he was her mentor, and he is like the dude of geodesic am I saying it, geodesic design, geometric design. You can tell I don't do what you do. But
well, Buckminster
you know what I mean?
Buckminster Fuller, I think, was one of the greatest visionaries of the 20th century, and I built a lot of domes, and like you were talking about, the feeling of being in the circular space with no corners, it changes how people feel and interact in that space. Buckminster Fuller also had this vision of how do we make spaceship Earth, how do we make this planet work for 100% of humanity. So I really relate to this, the idea of let's make the Earth really special for everyone, and let's take care of everyone.
Wouldn't it be weird if the Earth was square?
No.
Think about it. We're round.
Not into it.
The Earth is round for a reason, and sometimes I think when you have squares, which we live with in our homes, there's corners, and if you just go in a straight line and you come to the other line and it's like 90 degrees, you just hit a roadblock. You have to change what you're doing. Think about it.
No, it's
you have to make
a
right turn, left turn. You have to make a turn, and it's completely different than the path you were on. But if you're in your circle, you just keep going round, man. You know what I mean?
That's infinity. I just was thinking about how when you're a kid,
when hit roadblocks.
When your teacher is like, everybody gather around in a circle for story time. Yeah. When she wants your attention, gather around in a circle.
Do you sit in a square around
the auditoriums, like in a national park, we go to all these amphitheaters for, park ranger talks. They're usually circular.
Absolutely.
Okay, now I'm going to be in a circular frame of mind for the rest of the day.
Unless you do square dancing and suddenly you're a square.
You're still going in a circle. I don't know why.
Do your partner in a circle, but the square dancing is on a square formation.
Wow.
Wow, that's weird.
Wow.
Where did we just go?
Okay, Chuck, thanks. We're off on another tangent. Thanks for that.
Okay.
No, I really love your information, and everyone, again, I'm going to give you Chuck's website. It's brand-solutions.com. Also go to earthsanctuary.org if you're going to Washington State. Make a turn, but a circular one, and go to the Earth Sanctuary. Amazing. Go look at the website, too, because it's just a calming website. You just looking at the pictures and, the prayer flags and just the sculptures and the nature. It looks so beautiful, and we can't wait. We will come and see you, Chuck. It's going to happen.
Can't wait to meet you.
We will. We will get there. We can't wait either. I want to thank the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, who are partners of ours on these awesome segments. Go to ifwtwa.org for that. But Chuck, here is your special song. It's called Lotus Blossom. I thought you would like this because it's meditational and beautiful.
And it's circular.
And it's circular, right? It's from our friends Michael and Spider, and everyone, you can learn more at michaelandspider.com. But here it is, Lotus Blossom. Thank you so much for joining us, Chuck.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Nancy, so much.
You take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.